about, I want to do some data analysis, data manipulation, everything concerning data, how to work with and analyze data. So we're going to look at this, what Pandas is. We're going to make use of Pandas in Python programming language to achieve all these things. So when you come to data analysis and data manipulation, a whole lot of other things, make use of Pandas. I know that Pandas is an open source library in Python programming language. But before we go on further, if you are new to this channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. You can also like this video if you find it helpful. So in this video, we're going to look at the main theoretical thing you need to know about Pandas. Pandas in Python programming language basically, but also apply to any other language that make use of Pandas. So when it comes to that of Pandas, like I said initially, Pandas is an open source library in Python programming language used for data analysis and for that of data manipulation. Other programming language has their own other libraries they make use of to achieve this. And when it comes to Pandas, it provides us with two type of data structures, which is series and that of data frame. Series is just more like just taking one column, but when we go on in this series of these Pandas tutorial, I'm going to make use of this series and that of data frame to achieve some of our things that we're going to do. So but just take series as just a kind of a can say you can take when it comes to that of series, like I said, there are two data structure that Pandas tend to provide, which is the series and that of the data frame. In series, you can just take like a kind of a single column in the data structure or in the data frame, and that of data frame is kind of a two-dimensional kind of data structure that will take multiple columns, not just one column. You can see on my image is kind of a data spreadsheet, Microsoft spreadsheet. This is going to explain to you what series and what data frames are. And you know, the other thing we should know about when it comes to Pandas is that Pandas was built on top of NumPy. That's one of the things you know about Pandas. It was built on top of NumPy. NumPy is also an open source. When it comes to that data manipulation too and other data complex handling things. But Pandas data frame or Pandas in general tend to make more of the environment more human readable compared to that of NumPy. You know that Pandas tend to integrate a little bit more to other libraries, to like that of Matplotlib, Seaborn, Ascale. We're going to make use of all these things. We can see that Pandas tend to integrate a little bit or works well with them. So what are the uses of Pandas exactly? With all these things we have said about the things you should know about Pandas. So what are the uses of Pandas? Like I said, when it comes to that of data cleaning and processing, let's say in a situation whereby the data you want to make use of is kind of corrupt or is not looking good, be with help of Pandas library, just what you can do just to help you clean it up the best way possible before you can make use of them. And when it comes to Pandas, like I said, is also integrate really properly well to that of Ascale. I know Ascale is also a kind of a library that provides us with all these tools for our machine learning things. I can say machine learning toolbox can put it, and our Pandas also tend to work well with them. That means we can structure our data in the right way. We can then feed it to a machine learning model that can help us to generate a predictive output. One is for that of data analysis. Like I explained earlier, Pandas can be used for data analysis when we want to analyze our data. Everything about Pandas is just to analysis of data, making cleaning and manipulation of data. Another one, since it can be integrated with that Matplotlib, we can visualize our output. And when I mean visualize, to visualize kind of a plot or a graph on the screen, we can make use of Pandas to achieve. We also have kind of that of those of time series analysis. We can make use of Pandas to achieve this. Also, when it comes to that of big data processing, Pandas tend to be our best guy for this job. When it comes to that of machine learning processing, most of the machine learning libraries or frameworks tend to integrate well with Pandas, meaning that we can just structure them in the right way in the Pandas and then feed it directly without us needing to do other complex things. So that one of the uses of our Pandas. Pandas tend to have the applications of that of Pandas. Pandas tend to have a whole lot of applications when it comes to that of stock market and financial analysis, machine learning and AI, how social media and also that of marketing, healthcare and medical data. Also when it comes to that of web scraping, a situation where we scrape, we want to store our data in a table kind of way, we can actually interact with them really well. When it comes to that of scientific research, the whole use of applications of Pandas. Panda applications is just so broad that it just makes your work easy and more intuitive, and save you a whole lot of time to do some kind of things that you might not want to. But Panda make everything easy for you. Also, us to look at is the advantages of that of Pandas. Pandas provide us with a whole lot of advantage, like everything I've listed earlier. It should be enough to tell you that of the advantage when it comes to it able to help us for easy data manipulation. We want to manipulate data and clean data and process data and feed it to machine learning machine learning model to help us to process and make a predictive output. It can also help us comes to that of high speed. Then Pandas tend to perform in the best way possible. What are the disadvantages of Pandas? Because we know that since Pandas, we said it's an open source. What I mean by open source, meaning that it's open, you don't need to pay a dime for it. Is an open source, and since it's not a standard Python library, so you need to install them, and don't worry, in the next video I'm going to install it. Is not hard. As far as have Python installed on your computer, is easy to install. Disadvantages of disadvantage of when it comes to that of Panda is that of high memory usage. Pandas tend to put the entire data on top of your RAM. So if you have a low RAM in your computer or your system, it might be a little bit of problem. But nevertheless, if you have at least 4 gig RAM or 8 gig RAM, you don't have issue with running Pandas. And one of another thing, disadvantages when it comes to that of Panda is performance issue when it comes to a large amount of data set. When I mean data set, just like a data you are currently working on, the data you are making use of, which comprises of that of row and that of column. So when it comes to that of Panda, unlike that of DAX and PyStack, when it comes to a huge data set, Panda can be a little bit like, it does not mean it cannot handle the data, but it can be performed a little bit slower compared to that of PyStack, like I said, and that of DAX, which tend to handle a huge amount of data. But in non-share, most times we don't tend to exceed this limit. When it comes to most of the same work that we do make use of Panda, we don't exceed this high data limit. So you learn by the Pandas is that it can help you with your data analysis when you want to. It help you to structure data, where I can help you when it comes to analysis of data, like I've explained earlier. Another one of the reasons why you should learn Pandas is when it comes to it's easy to use. Unlike some other libraries out there, Pandas tend to be a little bit easier to learn. Even for that of a beginner, I can get started with the Pandas. Syntax are quite easy to understand. When you go to Python programming, at first you can understand how the syntax works. It's easy for you to make use of Pandas. Another why you should even learn Pandas in the first place when it comes to data and analysis. If your interest is to go into that of machine learning, or to go into computer, anything to do with analysis of data, of course it's a good idea to learn Pandas. It will give you a stepping stone to achieve what you want to achieve. So nevertheless, Pandas tend to be one of the most used Python library out there when it comes to data analysis. There are a whole lot of other libraries out there that can use for data analysis, but Pandas tend to outperform almost all of them. With this, you have a broad knowledge of what Pandas is. So the key thing you should know about Pandas is just Pandas is an open source library, meaning that you don't have to pay a single money. Another one is that Pandas was built on top of NumPy, and after this Pandas series, we are going to do that of NumPy for us to understand how these two guys relate to each other. Like I said, Pandas was built on top of NumPy, and another thing you should know about Pandas that Pandas belong to a particular data family which is called PyData, which comprises of that of NumPy and that of Jupyter. So they are kind of a family related. This, I think you have a broad knowledge on what Pandas is and why you should learn Pandas. So main reason for Pandas is to analyze the entire data. For data analysis, that's just basically what Pandas is mainly used for. And the other competitors that are called Pandas tend to face, but Pandas tend to outperform most of them. So this is basically what I want us to look at in this video. And next video, we are going to do the for that of installation of Pandas. I can show you how to install Pandas in your environment or your system, so you can make use of them. So I'll be happy to see you throughout this Pandas series. I'm going to make everything the easiest way possible. It's not going to be hard for us to understand. Even though say you are new to Python or you're new to Pandas library, I'm going to try my best to make it the simplest way possible for you to understand and appreciate Pandas library and Python properly. So I think this should be it for this video. If you enjoyed, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.